Hello. Welcome to the Free Bin, Toledo, Oregon Public Library's podcast. I'm Harrison.
I'm Cindy.
And I'm Sophia.
Sophia?
Sophia's new.
Where did Sophia come from?
It's her first day.
We're making her record a podcast on her first day on the job.
It's okay. You might as well throw her in the pool.
She can swim. Sophia is our new Library Programs Specialist, and we're very happy to have her on the team.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
And her voice is so quiet, and Harrison and I are really loud.
It'll get louder. It'll have to.
All right, let's start with announcements, right?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you to everybody who participated, all our volunteers who came in and did the big, beautiful book giveaway. We gave away lots of books, but we have more. So we'll do another beautiful, beautiful book giveaway in the fall. And hopefully by then we will have our mystery and our sci-fi and our Western weeded. And if you're interested in any of those, you can keep a watch on the Facebook page. It'll be out there as soon as we set a date for that. And on July 17th, we have our first Oregon Humanities Grant for rural libraries, hosted event by the library called Community Conversations, and we are going to have our guests, the Toledo History Museum, the Yaquina Railroad. I always get this wrong.
The Yaquina Pacific Railroad Historical Society.
Thank you.
Museum.
And Ted Cox, who is a writer of local history, and he wrote the book, The Toledo Incident, which is here in our library. And they're going to come share a little bit about the Toledo history, and then we'll have a question and answer time at the end. And then we're also, at that time, we will introduce you to the next event, which will happen in August. And it'll be a little bit different. And so you can hear about that at the first event in July 17th, 6 to 8 p.m. down in the meeting room. And what else am I missing? Next week on the 10th of July, Thursday from 10:30 to 11:30 is our kids program for summer reading. And it's Mo Phillips. And I'm not exactly sure what Mo Phillips does, but I think it's music.
We'll find out.
We'll find out, but it'll be fun. So bring your kids down, or yourself if you're interested. You don't have to be a kid, and make sure you're reading your books so you can pick up your T-shirts and have a beautiful dragon T-shirt with axolotls on it to wear around this summer. Summer reading program's going really good, though. Yeah,
we're up over 200 signups already, just in the first month, and they keep rolling in, and we want to keep them rolling in. So come in and sign up. July 19th at noon is our Joust tournament.
Oh, high noon! I got to do the song. Thank you.
Yeah, it's single elimination. It's competitive joust, player versus player, and we'll have as usual our fabulous prizes. I'm doing air quotes.
Yeah. Fabulous prizes.
Fabulous prizes.
Come on.
Yeah. A new car. No, there's no new car, but
yeah,
we'll have something for you.
Yeah.
And you get to tell everyone you won the Joust tournament.
That's right. And unfortunately, I won't be playing in that tournament because, as we know from last week's podcast, I'm just really good at it.
You did good. You did really good. It takes
I don't know about that.
It takes some doing to get
those ostriches going where they're supposed to.
Yeah, get the momentum. Swerve that bird.
That's right.
But you do need to register for that tournament so we can start building our brackets. So come into the front desk and get yourself registered for the Joust tournament, and we'll put you in the bracket. We'll have a runoff match for third place for that. So we'll have first, second, and third place certificates.
And Harrison, is there an age limit?
Currently, there is no age limit.
Okay.
Because you've got some people who have decades of experience with Joust potentially out there, but you've got some very talented kids out there,
and the comers, man.
Yeah, and the thing about an arcade game like that is you've got a pretty level playing field potentially across age groups.
Right.
If we get enough people signing up, though, maybe we'll do some age divisions.
That could be fun.
It depends how many people we got signed up.
Yeah. So joust tournament on the 19th at high noon.
I did. That was that was a failure.
Our sound effects need a little work.
Yeah.
I like turtle.
All right. I also brought the beverage. This is the big 23 ounce, as if, 16 ounces wasn't enough, of Faygo Red Pop.
The classic Red Pop.
Yes, it's delicious because it's naturally and artificially flavored with strawberry. It has no caffeine. Any guesses to how much sugar's in this? We always kind of do the sugar count.
I'll let Sophia guess this one.
How much?
100 grams.
Ooh, well, you were overshot it there. 69 grams.
69.
I was close.
You were close.
was
I mean,
close.
you were on the right side of 50. Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's very red. So we're going to open it. And I haven't shook it up because it's red and we don't want it on the carpet.
Think it's fallen out of the fridge a couple of times.
Probably. Oh my gosh, it's really red. It's the kind that you don't want in your house because if it gets spilled on the carpet, you will have a red spot forever. Ever.
Sandlot.
All right. So pass those down. Watch the keyboard there.
Thank you.
Okay. Faygo Red Pop.
Faygo Red Pop.
Does it smell like strawberries?
Smells red.
It smells like strawberry jello.
It does.
Smells red.
Okay, here we go.
Tastes red too.
It tastes red, yeah.
I think you hurt Sophia.
Is it the sugar or
It's radioactive.
it's a little bit, yeah. It's very sweet. Wow. Wow.
Sophia's mic's hanging down here.
Oh, the droopy mic, which might need the Tom Clancy book.
It might.
Yeah, I had to replace one of these and already because it totally failed. And
Yeah.
we might have to get the Tom Clancy out again. What is that one? Is it which
I don't
Tom
know.
Clancy? I
Hunt
don't know.
for Red October, maybe. I don't know.
Might have been.
It's very apropos.
Given the red pop, yeah. That's probably why I think that. Well, that is, and as a person who drinks Diet Pop on the regular, this it's like drinking liquid Kool-Aid. I'm sorry, with a little bit of fizz.
It's hummingbird food mix with
It's the right
carbonated.
color.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Reminds me of a spritzer,
Yeah.
but not.
But not. Okay. Well, why don't you introduce what we're talking about today, Harrison?
We're going to talk a little bit about the Declaration of Independence with July 4th being tomorrow. We're going to have the day off. We will be closed Friday, tomorrow, as of this recording. And we thought we'd take a little bit of a glance back, read not the entire Declaration of Independence, but we'll read the preamble, we'll discuss, and then we'll read the last chunk of it, and then Cindy's going to read something else appropriate to the occasion.
That's right.
At the end.
For you pop culture people.
So do we want to have Sophia read off the first part of the
Sure.
Declaration of Independence?
Okay. I'm ready to listen.
Here we go. In Congress, July 4th, 1776. The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed.
Those are powerful words.
There's a lot that's specific to the situation. There's a lot that's more general, and it's easy to draw relevance and parallels from things in the past, but remembering that the context in this, which this was written, is probably something we might never really understand totally, because we have the benefit of hindsight, and we know where this story was going, and the guys who wrote this did not. I mean, this was officially, at the time it was written, this was officially an act of treason. It only became a revolution is legal when it succeeds.
Right.
And this could have gone any number of ways.
I find it really interesting as Sophia was reading it, what a brave step it was to step out and say, we're going to fight this. We're not going to, we're going to declare our independence, because they relied on England for a lot, and they understood, the tyranny and the colonialism and those kinds of things. But to sit down with these men and all of them become to the point where they wanted that rebellion, where they were willing to stake their lives on it.
Yeah, the penalty was to be hanged, drawn, and quartered.
Right. And all of them could have been, they all kind of were risking not only their lives, but their families, their livelihoods, and the people that followed them. And that's a huge thing that I don't know that I thought that through as to what kind of decision-making process happened to get to that point. I don't think I've never been at that point where I am so oppressed or that I'm willing to lay my life on the line to step away from this power that governs us.
And there's a lot of a lot of contentious history just in the wording of the document. Like at the time it was being drafted, Thomas Jefferson wrote the draft. And he, as I understand it, wasn't really happy with how it turned out at the end because other people went in. Like the word self-evident, which is, that's kind of an iconic sentence there in American history that was rewritten. The word sacred was in there before, and some of the folks involved in this wanted to distance from having language that sort of reflected the idea of like a divine right of kings kind of thing. Although at this time, I think there were some people who were thinking that America should have a king. Like after the revolution, there were some people saying that like George Washington should be. It looks like there was actually only like one colonel saying that, and Washington didn't like it. I think it was just one guy.
Well, they didn't really have another government to put in place. They didn't have another example. They kind of had to feel their way into that government. Like how do we organize it? I think about organizing, like my kitchen cupboard is nothing compared to organizing a country, and who's in charge of what, and then all these really big personalities that we hear about, that Jefferson and Hamilton and those guys that are setting up things. And
we were talking before the recording about the certain things that got left out, like references to slavery. That was a big conversation. They were writing this, and they decided not to put that. There was language specifically calling out the king for the institution of slavery, and then that didn't get addressed until the Civil War, which was still less than 100 years after all of this.
Right.
Which I sometimes forget that from the perspective of the 1860s, like it's less than 100 years. It's like
it's like 2 generations or 2.5. We think about in perspective, like just things that are having, like, what is it? This is the Princess Bride movie that's having an anniversary, and it's like 25 years old or something. And I'm like, no way, that can't be right.
No, it's more than
25 years ago, I was just, I mean, and as you mentioned, we are prior to turning on the mics, just talking about stuff about how we're such a young country. I mean, we really are when you look at ancient civilizations. And I think we forget that. I just don't think of it in terms of we're less than, 200 and some years old. And that's just, but honestly, they did a pretty good job of laying out a lot of the things that we still hold true, today, that we have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Mm-hmm. And so there are some countries who don't have that. And America is one of those that we can celebrate our Independence Day, I think, with still so much independence.
Also, it has to be an active thing, and it can be easy to fall back on a document from long ago and consider things settled, but it's an ongoing process. And I mean, there's language in here that was reflected the time and the people who wrote it, especially regarding the indigenous population, that,
right.
We've come a long way. There's a long way to go. But things won't necessarily be a certain way because somebody said they are.
Right.
And I mean, you look at other countries. I mean, you look at Haiti, which had a very successful revolution that, due to the international relations and what the French government did, ended up in a really bad place. Even though the revolution succeeded, right. Like, you don't know how things might go.
I think they're still feeling the impacts of that today.
Yeah.
Honestly. So.
I like the human stories of history, and I'm always wary of mythologizing or enshrining anything too much. And I think sometimes people take that as like attacking history or something like that. But really, you can't get close to people if you put them on a pedestal, and you can't understand them or empathize with them as well if you see them as a statue.
Any human being, I mean, every person and every institution has the possibility that it will skew itself off course. And I think looking back in history and going, okay, they were in a certain time, in a certain place, doing a certain thing. And they did pretty good for what they were doing. But now we look back and there are things now that we're dealing with, and the issue of slavery is not by no means gone. Mm-hmm. It has been, legislated and regulated, but it's still out there because we have so much human trafficking, and countries, there are enslaved people are all over the world, including the United States. We'd like to think they're not, but they're there. And so I think it's just a matter of looking back and going, what can we learn from this document that started our country? Mm-hmm. And how can we fit that into what's happening now in our country? Mm-hmm. Not necessarily the political comment or commentary or any of that. I don't want to go there. But just the idea that this is where our country started, and we have a long way to go. And when we learn how to do it better, let's do it better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'll read, we're going to leave off a lot of the specifics about the king.
Yeah, he had a lot of things.
You can go back and read this, but I'll read the closing part as we finish up. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by the authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
Yeah. There you go.
There you go. The full text of this, of course,
Yes.
I'll put in the show notes. National Archives has copy of it somewhere. I think.
Somewhere in there. They have the original. They have the one that's like a little cleaned up version. They've got Thomas Jefferson's original transcript, and then what eventually came out. But moving on to another topic. Well, kind of another topic.
Related.
It's Independence Day. One of my favorite movies is the movie Independence Day with Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum and Bill Pullman. And if you haven't seen it, please just watch it. It's a 1996 movie. It's just fun. It's about aliens, and they take over the world, and we fight back. It's kind of basic. It's the basic plot. But in this movie, towards the very end, right before the final battle, the president of the United States has managed somehow through, like a CB radio or something, has managed to connect the entire world. And so the world is going to fight back against these aliens. And he makes this speech. And to me, it's really kind of, even though it talks about aliens, it's really kind of a great speech for freedom and for what they're trying to do. And so I'm going to read it, not in my best Bill Pullman.
You should do a Bill Pullman impression.
I can't do Bill Pullman. I'm sorry.
It's not the most exciting impression to do, honestly.
No,
All due respect to Bill Pullman. I've never heard a comedian do a really great, a hilarious Bill Pullman.
No, he's not one you'd think of. But the writers, I want to credit the writer, because obviously Bill Pullman did not write this. He just said it. But the writer of this is Dean Devlin. If you're familiar at all with the Librarians show on TV, he wrote that and produces that. And he also, I don't think he does Leverage, but he might. Anyway, so I'm just going to read this, and then we can kind of make our commentary on it if you want. Okay. So this is with the president. And to set the scene, they're getting ready to load up their jet fighters and go and fight. And he's standing in the back of a truck with a microphone talking to the pilots of these and to the world. I believe they're broadcasting to the world. Good morning. In less than an hour, aircraft from here will join others from around the world, and you will be launching the greatest aerial battle in this history of mankind. Mankind, that word should have new meaning for all of us today. We can't be consumed by our petty differences anymore. We will be united in our common interests. Perhaps it's fate that today is the 4th of July, and you will once again be fighting for our freedom, not from tyranny, oppression, or persecution, but from annihilation. We're fighting for our right to live, to exist. And should we win the day, the 4th of July will no longer be known as an American holiday, but as the day when the world declared in one voice, we will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We're going to live on. We're going to survive. Today, we celebrate our Independence Day.
Bill Pullman.
Well, you know, the line, we will not go quietly into the night, reminds me of that poem, Rage Against the Night. I can't remember who wrote it. I looked it up the other day, but there are times when after I watch this, my youngest would have been 3 when this came out. There would be times when I'd be like, we will not, trying to put him to bed, and they're like, we will not go quietly into the night. We will not. I'm like,
Please.
yes, you will. So every once in a while when something like that happens, I'm like, we will not go quietly into the night. Anyway,
Wonderful.
that's my Independence Day speech.
Very poignant, very of the moment, very relevant and topical.
Yeah,
to
I
everything
think
that's happening in the world.
Yeah,
So I think it was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We won't be consumed by our petty differences anymore. I think we need to get to that point.
Or aliens.
Or aliens.
aliens.
Right. Because really, the movie is about aliens.
So do we think, here's a question I've always had. The Randy Quaid character in that movie, do we think that the aliens actually did all that stuff to him, or was he delusional and just happened to, was that a delusion he had about having been abducted by aliens, or had those aliens actually been
I guess you
him?
can have your own opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know though, when he when he goes up and it flies his jet, spoiler alert.
I think people have seen the movie by
flies
now.
his jet into the alien thing and says, "I'm back, boys."
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe. They might have recognized him. I don't know. It's a good movie, and I think it's an interesting take on what would happen if there were suddenly aliens over our planet in these giant spaceships. And I think it kind of displayed, there were people who were worried, there were people who were not, there were people who were like, it's the end of the world. And then there's the ones that are going up on the rooftop and partying, and take me, kind of things. And that's probably how people would react. So anyway, watch Independence Day. Happy 4th of July.
Yeah, enjoy your holiday.
Yep, have a good holiday weekend.
And we'll finish our red.
Yeah, well, you
Rip-Up.
might.
I don't know. It'll give me heartburn.
Yeah, woo! It's a thing.
I'm radioactive.
Yeah, radioactive.
All right, we will see you all next week.
Bye.
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 The Free Bin is a production of the Toledo Public Library, which is part of the Lincoln County Library District in beautiful Lincoln County, Oregon. Writing by Cindy Balek and Harrison Baker. Original music and editing by Harrison Baker. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect those of any organization they represent. Good night.